Tesla stock has gone down recently for an almost 50% from a little bit above 1000 USD to above 600 USD. And now the questions for all the funds is whether you should now maybe buy the Tesla stock. It's gone down 50% after all. So first, let's state this at the beginning. Tesla is a great company with an amazing CEO. It has a great product and can possibly come up with multiple additional great products in the future. Tesla is a very innovative company doing impossible things, and it's a very successful company. So let's try to be optimistic about this company and see what are the results. Of course, we cannot predict the future, and the stocks can be hyped and get X 20 times with no relation to the actual valuation of the stock, but only due to atmosphere. So in this sense, the stock can really spike high and low. But if we want to be consistent into the future, then we might want to look for good opportunities based on how well is the business doing, what do we predict of it doing, and less of hypes. Hypes is really a matter of taking a chance. It's possible. This is one strategy of taking big chances. For example, being very conservative with, let's take 90% of your available cash, be very, very conservative, and then risk some 5% on one thing, 5% on another thing, while hoping that some spike would come in the future and makes it X20. And in this way, you are both conservative but risking some small percentage because it's an outlier. So let's take, but when we want to invest in something, we also want to know its real valuation. So if we get to look at the current pricing after the 50% downturn of Tesla, we see that it's a price earning, which means how many years does it need to earn in order to cover the investment. But this is a little bit misleading metric because it's predicting that the same earning would be continue in the future, and we know that the company would grow. So the current PE is pretty high. It's around 50, 60, 70, which means 60 years, 50 years, and 70 years. But it's based on the current growth of the company. But if we take and be super optimistic, let's be super optimistic about Tesla and think that it's going to grow around 40% a year. Okay, it's going to grow from now and 10 years, 40% each year. In this kind of growth, we are going to look at after 5 years, around 5 to 6 years, at around with an actual valuation of the revenue and expenses, around 3% per year. But let's be even more optimistic and think that it's going to grow 60, 70% a year. In this case, okay, so a company that grows 60% a year is something drastic, right? So in this case, we are going to get about 11% return on our investment yearly, and we have been real optimistic on this. So this means that if we just look at the valuation and the real income to outcome, then this means that we should look for better opportunities. If we think that there is going to be hype and spikes on the Tesla stock not related to its actual revenues and actual growth, then this, of course, means that the stock can jump 10%, 20%, and jump X10, X20, or drop by X10 or X20. We do not know. But as we said, based on the actual valuation, the actual earnings, and the actual expenses of the company, then we can see that we can expect around 3% to 11% on the actual numbers of the companies. So this was a brief overview on the current state of the Tesla stock.